McDonald's, get me a coffee.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the City of Menasha Administration Committee meeting to order. Attorney Captain, could we have the roll, please?
Alderman Taylor,
Here.
Alderman Sevenik,
Here.
Alderman Langdon,
Here.
Alderman Kruger,
Here.
Alderman Tom Grotti, Alderman Ted Grotti, Alderman Rapella, and Alderman Nichols.
Here. Thank you, Attorney Captain. We have minutes to approve from the Administration Committee meeting of November 4th, 2019. Is there a motion? Alderman Rapella?
I'll make a motion to approve the Administration Committee meeting minutes for November 4th, 2019.
Second.
We have a motion from Alderman Rapella and a second from Alderman Ted Grotti to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. Our first action item this evening is for the Municipal Property Insurance Company, the 2020 renewal. In the packet, we have outlined the renewal policy quote and the declarations made, and the total annual premium amount is $42,932. We'll look for a motion. Alderman Rapella.
Thank you very much, Alderman Nichols. I'll make a motion to approve the Municipal Property Insurance Company, MPIC, 2020 renewal for $42,932.
We have a motion by Alderman Rapella and a second by Alderman Kruger to approve the insurance renewal. Any discussion? Alderman Sevenik.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I guess a question for the clerk / city attorney. Now that we don't have the 140 Main and we are now only renting, I guess my question is a two-part question. What was the reduction? And then the other part is there an increase by having this as a rental place that we pay, or is it the same?
Attorney Captain.
You are correct. We did take off 140 Main Street, and there is nothing on here except for contents with regard to property insurance for this building, because the building is not owned by us. It's owned by the school district. So what we did is use the value of the contents that we had from 140 Main Street, since those contents just basically were transferred over to this building. And you may recall that we were expecting quite an increase in the property insurance. We had received a letter from MPIC a few months ago indicating that because of all of the storms and whatnot over the last few years, for 2020 they were expecting quite a significant increase in the premiums. And then, because it's a relatively new company, they want to make sure they have enough reserves, particularly with regard to the storms that they had recently, and then expect it to hopefully level off after that. And I'm just going to look at the budget to try and recall. We didn't do too bad. I know I had something higher in the budget initially, and then when we received as far as the estimated premium, when I actually received the policy quote, I still did have some time to go ahead and change it. So it looks like for 2019, we had $37,555, and we are going up, to 43,000 about.
Okay. Also too, last time we talked and we had some concerns about the trails and those bridges and then the bridges, in other locations. I never really got an update on that or wherever that went.
Attorney Captain?
The bridges that were mentioned, we did make contact with MPIC and had made adjustments to our, we have a list of all of our property.
Okay.
And so we made sure that they accounted for all of the bridges that were there. And in fact, in 2019, this year, they did have a specific person who came out and did audit all of our property. So it is a recent audit as far as the numbers are concerned. It's
Okay.
from this year.
Okay, and did we include the new trail over in District 8? As far as, cause that's almost like a full bridge. The trail,
Attorney Captain?
Are you referring to the?
One by Quick
The
Trip?
boardwalk?
mm-hmm,
I'm trying to think. That's a good question.
okay, well, I mean, we might need to follow up on that then.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Can we do roll call votes, or do they have to be?
We can do a voice vote if you want. Let's just do a voice vote.
Okay, because there is a dollar amount, so I thought it was a roll call. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item number 2 is the development agreement with the redevelopment authority. And this is in regards to the Public Works facility. Attorney Captain is going to review these with us. Attorney Captain?
I did prepare a memo identifying, actually there's 3 documents. These are all associated with the Public Works Facility Project. And when we had the workshop, I did go over the basic, most important terms of each of these agreements. The first one is the development agreement with the redevelopment authority, which outlines basically the whole public works transaction in general and what obligations the redevelopment authority has for that project and what obligations the city has for that project. We did add the exhibits, which I don't recall that we had the exhibits necessarily attached. Well, we didn't have all of the exhibits attached to each of the agreements when we had the workshop. But if there's any questions, I will try to answer.
Attorney Captain, would it be okay for us to discuss 2, 3, and 4 all together and then provide a motion with them all together? Thank you. Okay, so first we'll look for a motion. There is a recommended motion at the bottom of the memo, and it is okay if we do these 3 items together since they all relate to the Public Works facility. Alderman Kruger.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I will make the recommendation to forward to council the attached proposed development agreement, lease and buyback agreement, and First Amendment to development agreement to the common council for approval.
We have a motion by Alderman Kruger and a second by Alderman Sevenick. Are there any questions or conversation about these items? Seeing none, Alderman Taylor.
Director Jacobs, being that with these loans, we have 5 years or something that RDA has to become solvent, doesn't have a negative balance. I'm gonna go backwards and then forward with that. How much are they in the red?
The RDA fund is roughly about $500,000 in the hole right now. However, with some of the items in this document, you've got additional revenue streams that we're proposing for the RDA fund. Some of it would also be additional expense in the future for TIF 12, to make additional payments to the RDA to make it more solvent going forward. The one caveat, we discussed this with the USDA loan people back many months ago already, was that we need, by the time the first principal payment gets paid, which we're projecting right now would be January 2025, that is when the RDA fund needs to be solvent by then. So basically, when these documents are signed, we basically have about 5 years to accomplish this with the different factors that we did include in these agreements.
Okay, and let's just say the economy doesn't go well, these properties don't sell, what other source of funding would there be to get the RD become solvent?
I don't know, Mayor, if you wanna, should I jump in or just, okay. I mean, we have the 7 parcels right now in the Terrace Province area. So those we have on there, we have a projected revenue stream, with the proposed exchange of property and the deeds from the city to the RDA. RDA is not encountering any additional debt. So therefore, when that sells those parcels outright, it will be all cash, it'll be all revenue to the RDA. They won't have any debt that they'll have to pay as a reduction on the monies that they're gonna be collecting on those. If they weren't all to sell within the end of the 5-year period of time, the city would need to come up with a plan, probably in the 2024 budget year, of what additional revenue stream can it infuse into the RDA fund. So there might be additional tweaks that might occur, possibly with TIF 12 or some other revenue stream from another fund from the city to get the solvency needed for the RDA. And then it would need to stay solvent going forward. So it's not just a 1 year and done. It needs to stay solvent going forward.
Okay. How did we get such a deficit of $500,000?
Should I turn that one over to you, Sam?
So when John and I and the mayor had started looking at these RDA projections, we had to really dive deep into the whole TIF 12, how the RDA was kind of projected, the development agreements, things of that nature. And there were likely some items that were not correctly adjusted for back in the original agreement. Things such as loss of land sale. So you have a property that's marketed at $45,000 and you can only sell it for $30,000. So that's $15,000 that was not accounted for. So basically the financing was accounting for full lot sales, which is unrealistic, especially when you own that many lots, that type of lot in that economy in 2008, 2009. Likely other things that we consider as part of that would be holding costs. So there were likely no additional items put in there for holding costs. The HOA dues are a tremendous portion of the RDA's budget. I believe in past years it was close to $100,000. This year it's 2020 it's budgeted at about $31,000, and that's their portion of the common area expenses as part of that covenant that was created for those lots. So those are likely 2 big things that were not taken into account. In addition, the RDA's
What were the totals on those 2? What did you say?
so I know John's using a number of $500,000. I think it's closer to
700,000 maybe?
like 1.5, 1.4, but.
No, it's lower than that.
Okay.
I do have the audit report here.
Just the ballpark figure's fine, you know.
Attorney Captain. Oh, yes, and the other one that I did not mention was the Community First, Credit Union lot. So that was part of the projection, that $300,000 was part of the projection that the RDA would be taking in. So through that whole deal, the RDA gave that lot to the city to give to Community First. So that again is a $300,000 deduction right off the bat. So again, the RDA has not necessarily done anything wrong. It just potentially a couple items that were miscalculated on the front end. And this is likely a great time to correct both those. So the RDA is zero at the end, because obviously if their RDA is holding a debt without any assets, that is a debt of the city at that point, so.
I was just wondering how we got to $500,000, that's a lot of money, you know, and 300,000 on that one, and there must be some other dollars too in there.
I mean, at the end of the 2018 audit, it was $369,000. And I think that our projection, like at the end of 2019, was close to about $500,000. So that's a pretty close approximation of where it is. And knowing that we need to turn this around within 5 years.
Are we gonna take on, an aggressive marketing of these properties that we're leveraging? Sam? Are we gonna take on, a real aggressive, policy in trying to market these properties that we're listing for the RDA?
We certainly have been. We're talking to other developers about selling more lots in bulk. To obviously, that's a huge benefit to the city to get that tax base earlier. We did take into account some conservative numbers back into our new projections now. So we're not projecting full lot sales. So basically putting a small buffer in there. But yeah, lot sales are certainly difficult out there because of the type of development and the HOA. It's very, very similar to a condo association, but a realtor cannot put a condo tag on that because of their realtor license and things of that nature. So again, somebody that's looking for a condo, this is probably a perfect lot for them, but a realtor cannot put that out on a listing as a single family condo lot. So that, you know, if you're doing your internet search or whatever, and you say check condo, these lots come right off. So again, we do have a new listing agent out there, and we did recently sell one and working on selling a bulk of 7 more. So we'll see what we can do.
Now, question for either of you. Now, did the RDA ask for an independent audit or independent study on this financing of this?
Yes, they did. The Ellers, our financial advisor, is conducting that for us already for the benefit of the RDA. They've been involved in a lot of the discussion with TIF 12, so they understand all the nuances of what we've been proposing. We actually have a conference call scheduled on Wednesday to go over it, and then there will be issuing a final report to both the Common Council on December 2nd and the RDA on December 3rd. So they will be issuing a report probably the end of this week, but they wanted to have a conference call with, I've already had the conversation with them that they've told me where they were going with this. And we waited for Sam to come back from vacation, and then with the mayor also, but we have a conference call on Wednesday, and they'll be issuing a report in time for the next packet.
So this is just, again, sending this to the council, and then we're gonna have that report by the first meeting in December. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? We have a motion to forward and recommend the development agreement, the lease and buyback agreement, and the First Amendment to the development agreement with the redevelopment authority to the Common Council for approval. Seeing no other discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. And with that, we'll look for a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Alderman Kruger, seconded by Alderman Tom Grady to adjourn. All in favor? We are adjourned.